Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you had some nice conversations, were able to meet some new folks. We are really excited to be able to connect all of the different parts of our community that are here today. And now we are really excited to kick off the bulk of our info session tonight. So for those of you that I haven't met yet, my name is Jess Blackshaw, and I'm the ED of YCore. And I'm so excited to be with you all tonight to get to share some of the excellent work that has been going on this winter and to showcase the really exciting projects that we have coming up for the summer months. So a quick note that we will be recording this session and we won't have live closed captioning, but we will be providing a transcript afterwards if folks would like to see a written summary. Other than that, we are experimenting, as the rest of the world is, with transitioning all of our activities to virtual. And one of the things that I love the most about in-person info sessions is getting to see all of your faces in the audience. And I haven't really gotten to make eye contact for a while now, but just to get a sense of who all is in the room this evening, if folks could just kind of give a little wave or a gesture, if you're new to YCore, can we get a little wave from folks who are totally new to YCore? Yay, so many new friends. Oh, it's so good to see you all. And then how about some folks who are alums or current cohort members? Can we get a wave from you guys? Yay. So normally I would tell you to go ask these people questions. That's a little harder, but we will have some opportunities to have you all connect and ask some questions later on in the event. So I am absolutely delighted to have you all here tonight, and I'm really excited to share a little bit about who we are at YCore and why we exist. So why do we exist? The short answer for why YCore is here is that there is so much need in our community. All of us know this living in the Bay Area, and we feel it on a regular basis. We live in an area of booming wealth and growth, and it's impossible to ignore the huge inequities and disparities that sometimes show up literally on our doorsteps. During COVID-19, all of these existing inequities are being brought into even sharper relief on a regular basis. What do those disparities look like? Well, these numbers are just a hint of what we see. We are one of the most unequal regions in the US. We have serious racial and income inequality, and the incredible nonprofits that we have working in our community can't meet the need that they're seeing on a regular basis. At the same time, a significant portion of the philanthropic funds in the Bay Area goes towards tackling problems elsewhere. And you'll see that these numbers are a few years old. Most of them still hold true today. And all of this was true before the world turned upside down a few months ago. We're just starting to get an idea of what this new world is going to look like. But even the preliminary numbers that are starting to come in show that all of this is only going to get worse. Communities of color are suffering significantly more than other groups. Low-wage workers are suffering from the disease and from the economic downturn in ways that those of us with higher-paying, more secure jobs will not. And in light of economic uncertainties across the board, philanthropic activity is projected to decrease over the next 6 months to a year, if not longer. Nonprofits already have an incredibly thin financial margin and staff margin, and a lot of them are going to be struggling, and a lot of them probably may not survive. These numbers capture the gravity of what's going on, the gravity and the uncertainty, but they don't capture the feeling that accompanies that. When we're living in a society with such visible present inequalities, that can cause things like frustration, indignation, even a sense of helplessness. And that's of course true for those of us in the community who are suffering the most, but those feelings are also the case for those of us who are in a position of good fortune. Because we all want to live in a vibrant, thriving society. With all of this need and all of this uncertainty around us, it can be really overwhelming to think about how we can contribute to that and have a positive impact right now. This is particularly true for those of us who are early on in our careers, who are still trying to figure out what resources we have and how we can give them. But even when we are unsure, we are hungry to do more. Prior to COVID-19, a lot of folks in our demographic, this young professional demographic of about 25 to 35 years old, many of us were doing small things. Research has shown that just over half of people in our age range were making small donations to nonprofit organizations, which is a great start. We tended to give in reactions to disasters or crises. We weren't always great at planning, and all of us felt like what we were doing was not enough. About 3/4 of that same demographic reported that they felt like they wanted to be volunteering more. They wanted to be connecting with their communities on a more meaningful level. During COVID-19, preliminary research around how young people and young professionals are responding is showing a lot of similar things. People are focusing on shopping and giving back locally. They're turning to peers and family and local government for information more than they ever were before. And they're continuing to feel like they want to be better engaged. They want to be doing more. We're less sure than ever about the resources at our disposal and less sure than ever about the future, but we are more sure than ever that we want to be making a difference. So I used the phrase making a difference. That gets tossed around a lot, and it's not always clear what that phrase means or if it means anything at all. So I want to take a moment to explain what we at YCore mean when we say making a difference. We believe in 3 main components. The first of these is connection. There are so many incredible organizations and individuals out there who are doing important work and who want to be engaged. Those folks are the experts, and they know how we can be of service. And one of the most important things we can do to make a difference is to connect with the work that's already being done so that we can be a part of the solution. The second thing that we believe in is adding value right away. We don't believe that we need to wait to develop a certain skill set or to amass a certain amount of wealth. There are so many opportunities to do good with what we already have right now. We just need to learn how to ask. That said, we do have a lot to learn. And at YCore, we believe in building the skills and relationships that will enable us to continue supporting and advocating for our communities for the rest of our lives. This is our mission statement. So whoever you are and wherever you're finding yourself on your journey right now, we want to help you be a better partner and advocate for your community using all of the tools at your disposal. A YCore fellowship will help you understand how to better deploy your full suite of resources. So that means time, money, skills, and influence, whatever we have right now, and to work alongside the community-based organizations that are doing great work. So what does that actually look like? There are 2 main components to a YCore fellowship. The first part is the hands-on learning with our nonprofit partners. Hands-on used to mean actual hands. Right now, it means virtual hands-on. You'll hear shortly from our project leads who have spent the past 1 to 2 months working closely with a nonprofit partner to identify a project that's strategically important for that nonprofit. Right now, most of our projects are focusing on some aspect of the COVID-19 crisis and helping nonprofits weather this storm. Once these projects have been scoped, that's when you, as fellows, would join the projects. So fellows join these partnerships and commit 5 hours per week to working with their nonprofit partner while also attending biweekly workshops with YCore staff, which is the other component of our fellowship. These workshops focus on hard skills and on big picture context. So you'll learn how to apply design thinking principles, you'll learn how to fundraise, but you'll also start to dig deep into conversations on social justice and your role in the systems that operate in our society. These workshops are all currently virtual, and we are hoping that at some point in the next 4 months we'll be able to meet in person, but that might not be the case. Nevertheless, we have been incredibly committed to building this virtual community. And for those of you who are able to speak with some of our alums in the current cohort, they can tell you a little bit about how we've been working on that. So what do we ask of you as a YCore fellow or project lead? We ask that you commit to the basic time requirement of workshops. So that's about 5 hours a week for the 4 months of your project. We also ask you to meet a $1,500 financial commitment to YCore. So this is what helps us sustain our program. We teach a fundraising workshop to support you in this, so you won't be doing it alone. We also know that these are really uncertain times financially for a lot of folks, so we ask you to please not let this fundraising requirement keep you from applying. We will work with you during the application process to make sure that we have the right amount and strategy for you to be able to participate in this fellowship. The third thing that we ask from you is to prioritize YCore and the relationships that you'll build over your fellowship. We're working on projects, but we're also building a community of young professionals and nonprofit professionals that extends beyond the bounds of a single project. This is particularly important now because we can't actually be together in person. We have some great ideas for how to build that virtual cohort community, but we're going to need your energy and spark to make that magic happen. One of the reasons that we care so much about that community is because it extends so far beyond the fellowship. Our alumni stay deeply involved with giving and volunteering, and that's something that we're incredibly proud of. After their YCore fellowship, our alumni are 6 times more likely to give $1,000 or more annually, and they're 16 times more likely to volunteer at least 5 hours per month. This looks a little bit different for everyone, but it might mean joining a junior board, it might mean becoming a donor or joining a giving circle. It might just mean regularly volunteering, or it could be completely shifting your career to the social sector. But the most important part is that our alumni do stay engaged, and they have the support of each other and the YCore community to do that. As a YCore community, we have things like coffee chats, giving campaigns, all sorts of ways for you to stay connected and continue to get the support that you need. Because having a positive impact on our world is a lifelong relationship. And it will grow and evolve over time, but the most important thing that we can do is to stay committed to that relationship and keep doing something at any given moment, and surrounding ourselves with the people who will support us on that journey. So what does impact look like in YCore? These are some numbers that we're incredibly proud of. We're a young organization, but we are incredibly proud of all of the fellows and all of the time that we've been able to contribute to the nonprofit sector. That said, I imagine that a bunch of numbers is not what you actually came to hear. And these are our incredible partners from our past cohort. So we partnered with these 4 organizations in the Peninsula, all of which were incredible projects. And we wish that we had time to dig into the elements of all of them right now. But since we don't quite have time to go through all of these projects, I would love to just have the folks in our current cohort who are here today give a little wave, since we get to do virtual waves. Yay! Thank you all for coming. Virtual round of applause. Instead of hearing individually about each of these projects, we wanted to have a bigger picture conversation with this group and dive a little bit more deeply into the effects of COVID-19 and how it has played out with our partners and our projects. So in order to have that conversation, we put together a panel of some of our current partners, our past partners, current project leads, and moderated by an alumna of ours who has also come back to mentor a number of our projects. So I'm actually going to hand it over to Ming, who's our moderator, to introduce the panel conversation that we'll be having tonight.
Thank you, Jess, for the introduction, and hi, everyone. My name is Ming. I started helping with, well, I was involved in a YCore project first in summer 2018. Our client was JobTrain. They're a local organization in Menlo Park that's been doing great work to help folks train up on basic skills to get their first job or the next one. So that was a really incredible organization to work with. And I came back in 2019 to work with the project that Kayla lead with Respect Institute. That was another great summer cohort. So I'm very impressed by the organization and staying involved. So here we're to talk about, today we want to talk a little bit about COVID's impact on the social sector and nonprofits locally, and perhaps our thoughts about wider than the Bay Area, more nationwide or globally. So that's me. For my daytime, I do a design strategy for a small design firm here. We mostly have innovation clients. You help them think through, private sector clients, you help them think through how to design services and products that are human-centered. We also have a number of pro bono projects involved in the nonprofit sector. So we're hoping to do more of those going forward. With that, I'll pass it on to Catherine and Jessica and John. Could you please introduce yourselves? And I'll just call on Catherine first, given that we're in Zoom, and then Jess and then John. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Catherine. I'm the operations manager at Vegilution Community Farm. We're a 6-acre community farm in East San Jose. We're located in the Mayfair community, which is a diverse working class community in East San Jose. Our mission is to connect people from diverse backgrounds through food and farming to build community. So we're all about building community. And the way we do this is we not only farm, but we hold on-farm events, such as our First Saturday program, which has cooking classes, yoga classes. We have a food truck and food carts. So we do a lot of events in downtown San Jose. You may have seen us if you're around. So really our aim is to connect diverse people and build community.
Thank you, Catherine. Jess, could you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all virtually. My name is Jessica Palapuz, and I am currently a project lead with Parents Helping Parents. Parents Helping Parents is a nonprofit that aims to provide resources, training, assistance to families, as well as individuals, youth, and adults with special needs. My current day job is I'm actually a risk consultant at a public accounting firm called BDO.
Thank you. John, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey, everybody. Man, thanks for being here tonight. Thanks for letting me be here. So I'm John Liotti. I'm the CEO of AbleWorks, and I'm also on the YCore board. So, so I'm honored to be part of YCore as an organization that has received lots of help and volunteer hours and on the other side of the veil, if you will. So AbleWorks, the organization I represent, is based in East Palo Alto, but we work kind of throughout the Peninsula and in the Central Valley in the Modesto area. And what we do is we provide assets and education. We bridge social capital, and we provide avenues and pathways for individuals to break free out of poverty and economic oppression. We currently have 3 expressions of our mission. One is called Future Profits, that teaches life skills and financial literacy to, under normal circumstances, about 1,200 under-resourced high school students a week in low-income schools throughout the region. Our other program is called Livable, which is focused on immigrant mothers, helping them find career pathways and opportunities to grow and to support their families. And our third program is called Achievable, which walks with first-generation college students through a community college career, specifically kind of geared to the kids that aren't going on to a 4-year school but are sticking around and are trying to get their education in a less traditional way. Yeah, so honored to be here. Thanks you all.
Awesome. We'll kick off with some questions for everyone. So first is current adaptations. So since the shelter-in-place order, how has your organization or the organization that you work with or the organization in your community, how have they been adapting to changes? What ways have you found to continue serving the population that you're serving? So let's start off with John and go backwards.
Okay. Man, the whole world changed for us, a couple weeks ago, and for all of us really. But so in terms of our our program in the high schools, I mean, obviously we're not meeting with them right now, and we're engaging with the schools right now about strategies to do virtual classrooms in the future. But that's sort of frankly on the back burner right now as we wait and we prepare for the next school year. Really where most of our activity has been with our mothers and their families. So over the past couple of years, we had about 200 moms representing 200 families coming through our program. And we use a cohort-based approach similar to what YCore does to provide peer accountability and peer support. And, obviously now we can't meet with anybody face-to-face. And it's funny, I was saying this the other day, our goal initially was to help moms move from what we would say is from surviving to thriving. And the reality of it now is what we're finding is that we need to help people move from destitution to surviving, because that's sort of the situation. These are all working class families. Many of them are undocumented. And what happened was 2 months ago, we lived in an area that had the lowest unemployment rate, I think, in the nation. So there were jobs out there. There was opportunities even for the undocumented. But now that's not the case. So the families are together in one place now. Many don't have work, although I think some of the landscapers have finally gone back to work, but they're just so far behind. And, you know, we found lots of things. We initially surveyed all of our alumni families, and we found out lots of things. I mean, obviously people were losing wages. The majority of people had lost wages or had decreased wages. And many were suffering from food insecurity. And then also we heard from them that there was a particular challenge around social connection, that they were, you know, especially in immigrant communities, there's a strong bond of social relationships, and that was sort of starting to wane. So, you know, we completely retooled the whole organization to focus on these 200 families, plus the college students that we're working with. And, you know, we started doing virtual cohorts. We've done virtual exercise classes. We've had virtual trainings. We've brought in experts from legal services to, you know, to deal with issues like specifically around rent. And we're doing casework for basically 100 families right now, directly on a weekly basis. It has been one of the most busiest, intense times that we've ever experienced. It's really good work. I'm so proud of our team and the work we're doing and the way that they've pivoted so quickly from, you know, from a program that was really very face-to-face, very relational, very hands-on, to having to be virtual. But thankfully, you know, what we're seeing is that the families and the moms are being served. The other thing I'd say is we were able to raise about $100,000 for assistance for the families. And to date, we've spent over $75,000 paying rent for individuals. We know that there's a moratorium on evictions, but we don't want the families to get so far in arrears that they can't ever catch up again. So we've been paying rents. The other thing is that we've been buying thousands of dollars worth of Safeway cards and giving people food. You know, the food banks are doing a great job, but there's two issues. One is they're just completely overwhelmed, as Jess showed in that. And the second is that often the food that they get in food banks isn't very culturally appropriate for Latino families. So, so we're just hearing, and that's probably because I come out of such a working class background myself. That breaks my heart the most. It all breaks my heart, but gosh, not having food, you know, in the U.S. is hard. So I've just been really honored that we've been able to do what we've done.
Thank you so much, John, for sharing that. Definitely heard there's definitely a spike in food bank need for more capacity over the past few weeks and months as the unemployment keep going up. It's a huge issue. Jessica, could you share a bit about the organization you're working with and how they've been adapting?
Yeah, sure. So I think given like the situation around the world right now, given that it's a pandemic, there are a lot of changes that have been going on. But I think one of the remarkable things is how people have been able to adapt and kind of really take in stride the things that are happening. And I think for sure the organization I'm working with, PHP, and as I'm sure many other nonprofits out there are really taking steps to make sure that the communities that they serve are being served with the needs that are being needed at this time. So one of the ways that Parents Helping Parents is doing that is they've actually been able to have many kind of virtual trainings around how to navigate Zoom, how to navigate assistive technology. Because I'm sure you can imagine being a parent of a child that might need a little bit more attention than others. It's hard to find kind of resources to be able to teach you how to do those things. And that's pretty much one way that Parents Helping Parents has been able to shift their priorities and serve the families that they serve. And just to bring that into perspective, they serve about, I believe, over 5,000 families. And they have employees of 30 people pretty much within the Bay Area. And so far in the past month, they've actually been able to hold over 200 lessons with families individually. And if you can imagine how long it might take to teach somebody how to do just even one Zoom training, for 30 employees to be able to kind of help out families 200 times within the span of a month, I think kind of just shows their dedication to being able to pivot and help these families. And yeah, I'm very proud of not just PHP, but also my team in helping to support and also pivot in ways that people really, really need the help. So yeah, I think even though the world is kind of crazy right now, I think people's reactions to things have been going very, very well.
I'm so inspired just hearing Jessica and John, both your stories and with your organizations. That's been pretty awesome. Catherine, would you like to share a bit about how your organization is currently adapting to changes?
Sure, and I'd like to say the same. It's very inspiring hearing your stories, Jessica and John. Especially John, it sounds like we're serving very similar communities, so we face a lot of the same issues. And you know, saying going from surviving to thriving to destitution to surviving really hits home for our community as well. So like I had said, our mission is to connect people through diverse backgrounds and build community in East San Jose. And we did a quick pivot when this all happened, but in sticking with our mission, we saw an opportunity to deliver food. We're obviously a farm and we're producing fresh organic produce, which we used to sell at our farm stand or funnel through our programs for events. But since they stopped, we saw an opportunity to do delivery boxes to 40 families in East San Jose to do weekly deliveries of fresh organic produce. So that's how we pivoted. We created a new program called Eastside Connect with the intention to not only deliver these boxes, but to really keep our community together and keep our community connected. So every week we deliver fresh boxes of fresh produce to 40 families, but we also include some art activities. For example, we had some family activities. We included some notebooks to build family recipe books. We had an air quality lesson one week, task for kids, and then we provided some seedlings for people to start planting their own food. We also, I think, got some plants as well from the local plant society, and we were able to deliver plants to people who've got space to grow them in their gardens. So what we're trying to do is not only provide food, but also to have a similar experience as if you came to the farm at home. On top of that, what we do is we have weekly phone calls with each of those 40 families. And that's been an amazing way to really build connections with us and the families and then between each other. So we're really keeping the community strong, connected, and resilient. So it's been really important to us to keep that going. So we're working with other partners. I think we're going to be working with the San Jose Library to provide some art supplies and materials for kids. We're working with another local farm called Spade and Plough to provide some fresh produce as well. And we worked with so we're part of actually a nonprofit collective in East San Jose called Si Se Puede Collective. So with our partners who are the Amigos de Guadalupe Center for Justice, Grail Family Services, Somos Mayfair, and the Mexican Heritage Plaza, we try and offer wraparound services for everyone in the community. So working with them, we've been able to provide families with food but keeping the community strong and active even while we're all at home. So it's been great to be able to pivot and be able to provide that much needed source of resilience and community.
That sounds amazing. Thank you for sharing, Catherine. And again, totally inspired. And Jess, I trust that you'll keep us on a time check. Moving on to the next question. Which one of these changes do you think that adaptations you're seeing right now are here to stay, right? Either because you're forced to, or because this time has helped us redesign some of these services and adapting it in a better way. So what are some kind of the changes you see are here to stay in the long term? And what kind of help you do project needing? Oh, yeah, let's go with Jess this time first, and then we'll move on to Catherine and John.
Sure. Yeah, I think from a project perspective, some of the things that will be staying is obviously like the virtual ways upon which we meet. I think that can kind of be a cause, or at least for me, if I were a fellow kind of considering YCore, one of the things that I'd be a little concerned about was, will I still feel connected to my partner despite these virtual settings? And will I also feel connected to the team that I'm working with? Because I joined YCore not just to get experience in social impact, but also to be able to meet and kind of greet people who are interested in the same things as me. And one of the ways that we have been able to do that is or if I'm to answer that question, I think that's totally possible to be able to still have a very meaningful connection with people that you meet virtually. And honestly, I think for us, it was a little bit of a difficult transition because we were all going through this at the same time. These things came out of nowhere. But I think now coming to a place where we're 2 months in, people have adapted to the space, and they've kind of had time to think of a routine. And especially with the Peninsula, I think one of the challenges before COVID happened was the transportation issue. So we have people on my team that live all the way in San Francisco, and we also have people that live in San Jose. So I think if there's any benefit to the current situation right now is I think that connection can become even better. And I would just have, for advice that I'd have for the upcoming cohort, I'd say definitely make some time to talk about the project, but also make some time to do things that are fun and not related to the project, so that you guys can get to know each other on a personal level. I'd say that for my team, we've had lots of game nights. We have a group chat where we talk about things that are not just projects. I know for another project lead that they actually did a paint night where they watched a 3-hour video of a Bob Ross tutorial. I believe it was 3 hours. And yeah, I think there are challenges to virtual meetings, but given that everybody's in the same situation and we've had time to kind of adapt to it, I think this platform and the people that you'll be working with are all aligned on the same goal. So yeah, hope I answered your question, Ming.
Yeah, I think so. Your perspective is totally great. Thanks so much for sharing. John, if I may ask you to zoom out a bit, since you've been working for a while and you've also had a couple projects, several projects with YCore. Could you speak a little bit more to how you see the larger social sector would change, nonprofit sector would change because post-COVID, and also how young professionals might be able to help with that change in the organization's needs going forward?
Yeah, thanks. A couple things, to bring it up to a 30,000 foot level, I would just say, I don't think we have yet to know how this crisis is going to impact the poor or the working class. And I think, all of us that are working in the social sector are trying to look into our crystal balls and to figure out how we can remain, relevant in serving. And I don't mean it like, the cool Silicon Valley relevance. I mean more like we want to make sure that we're meeting the real needs of people in this time because everything has changed so much. So I think, the social sector is really in a bit of a challenge right now in terms of, because, we don't know economic factors. We don't know unemployment rates. We don't know the impact on jobs that are going to happen that were accessible for the working class, truck driver jobs, waitress, food service jobs. I mean, all these things are up in the air right now. And we're kind of trying to figure out how to best prepare people for, the result of disruption and the resulting innovation that happens around that eliminates working class jobs. So, and I think that's a question folks are asking across the nation. So some of it is more of an existential question like that is what is the nature of programming going to be in the social sector in the future? And because I sense in a way that we've accelerated some of the trends that were already happening around innovation and automation that's going to impact the the poor and the working class the most. So in terms of like every nonprofit right now is that's a big word, but a lot of nonprofits right now are forced to work in ways that they didn't have to do before. And for example, AbleWorks, I know we're behind the curve, but we adopted Slack, and we had to have some help from individuals and YCore, some folks in YCore helping us with that. But like internal communication modes are changing. External communication modes are changing. So especially around fundraising, how do we tell the story? All of a sudden the tech skills that a lot of YCore people have become really relevant in keeping in the sustainability of organizations like AbleWorks and others, because everything is virtual now. Not that we're Luddites, we never were, but we just had other things on our minds, and we were trying to balance it all. But all of a sudden, those skills and those abilities are becoming critical in sort of the life of organizations right now. So I think this is a really interesting time, and I think YCore, the cohort members and even alumni have a really unique opportunity to engage and to use your skill sets and your knowledge from especially from the tech sector, but also in other sectors too, to bear in helping nonprofits modernize in a much rapid pace than we ever expected to do. So for example, for us, there's a strong possibility that in terms of our youth program that we may not be physically in classrooms quickly over the next 18 months. That's kind of my guess right now. But some schools are coming back to us and saying they want virtual classes. So so we're having to figure out how to do this really well. And it's not just like the Zoom technology, because that's fairly easy to figure out, but also like, how do you teach a classroom of 30 kids, keep their attention, keep them active, and have them actually learn something and for the class to be worthwhile. So these are questions that we're trying to figure out and ask. And so we welcome the help. And I know that there's 1,000 other nonprofits in the region that would welcome the help also.
Thank you for sharing. So it sounds like definitely there's work to do, and there's things we can do even though there's a lot of uncertainty. Thank you. Catherine, would you mind sharing similarly your perspective on what can we do to help, and also what are some of the changes you feel like are here to stay?
Sure, yeah. So I would say when we talk about the future and what's going to happen, we don't talk about going back to the way things were before COVID, because I think things have changed and there's going to be a lot of things that are going to stay different. I think the long-term economic impacts, we just can't predict yet. We won't know. So I think what we'll do is we'll keep the box system, what we're doing now, delivering boxes as long as it's needed and as long as the community want it. And our aim really is just to keep building community, keep those ties strong, and keep resilient. So whatever way that happens, we'll be ready for the challenge. I would say how you can help is really to go on social media, follow our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, Veggielution. I sound like a YouTuber, like and subscribe, but like and share and retweet all of our information. If I can do a plug this Sunday, so usually we'd be preparing this time of year for our annual fundraiser, which is usually in June, but we've switched to a virtual fundraiser. Well, a virtual event. It's actually not a fundraiser, but it's an event on Sunday morning. So it's from 10 to 11 a.m. this Sunday. It's on our Facebook Live, YouTube, and also streaming from our website, veggielution.org. So it's just going to be an hour-long show showing a bit of news of stories of resilience from the farm, and then also just a little taster of what we're doing currently and the box system that we have going, and just a little insight into our programs. So if you can log on Sunday and have a look, or just keep an eye on our social media and see what we're up to, we'd really appreciate the shout outs and shares. That'd be really helpful to us. But yeah, it's really hard to know what's going to happen. So I think trying to stay positive and not think about going backwards, but just keeping adapting and keeping resilient to whatever changes are going to come, and staying really active in our community and keeping everybody connected.
Great. Thanks for sharing. The last question from me before we open it up to Q&A is, what are some of your recommendations for your current cohort that's coming in? How things might be different, what to expect, how to best work together from your perspective. Let's start with Catherine. Would you mind kicking us off? And we'll go through the other way.
Sure, yeah. So I've had a great partnership so far with YCore. It's an excellent experience. Michelle and the team we have are great partners, and I really find they're giving like a whole new energy and perspective to stuff I was working on for a long time, kind of on my own. So what we're doing with YCore is building an environmental health manual, a hard copy manual that we can share with our cohort, and then also can be adapted into a training curriculum for anybody who wants to access it in San Jose. And we've had a great experience. A lot of our meetings have been online anyways, even before this happened. So we were doing a lot of Google Hangouts. And yeah, I just say, I have thrown so much information at my team, and they've really taken it and adapted it, and just trying to stay as engaged as possible. And, you know, when building a project, give as much information and be open to giving as much information as possible is really helpful. I know Michelle and the team, you know, asked some tough questions and asked for a lot of information, and I tried to just give as much as I could. And now looking at the way the manual is being built and the way the project's coming together, I'm seeing the results of all that information. So I'd say, you know, keep in contact and really be open to disclosing information to your team, and trust that they're going to put it together in a good way for you. But we've had a really, really great experience. I recommend it to anybody It's definitely just given a whole new dedicated time and energy to a project that's been kind of ongoing but never fully finished for a long time. So I'm really grateful for the partnership.
Thank you for sharing. That's been our experience. My personal experience too is there's always some kind of like follow-on relationship that the team decides to continue or informally when they care about the organization they work with. Thank you for sharing. Jessica, would you mind sharing from a current project lead perspective some advices?
Sure. So I've had a very, very enjoyable experience so far, both with Sunshine, Maria, who are staff at PHP, as well as with my team internally. I touched on this a little bit earlier about how not just working with nonprofits and the social impact space is important to me, but being able to have these connections with people. So I'd also like to kind of reemphasize that right now, I think just having those opportunities to like have fun as well, rather than just thinking about the project. And actually one thing I'd like to touch on is definitely, as Catherine kind of touched upon, have like a really good attitude and be open to the current situation. I think it's having things like virtually, it's kind of a little bit easier to feel disconnected, but as long as like you participate and you welcome other people's conversations and you're really excited, I think that this cohort will go very
Thank you. John, could you please share some of your advice and experience with us for the new cohort?
Yes, thank you. The first thing I would say is be patient, both with the organizations you're going to serve in and with each other. This is unprecedented, this situation we're in, and I think, you know, things are changing so rapidly on, you know, on all levels. You know, from a nonprofit perspective, I mean, we're dealing with new problems almost every day that comes up. So things change quickly. So be patient in with the world right now, and give a lot of grace to each other and to the nonprofits that you're going to serve, because, you know, there's just a lot of factors. The other thing I would say is listen well. There's you know, and sometimes you got to listen to the words behind the feeling and the emotions behind the words, both with each other and with the nonprofits. You know, I'm kind of looking at it from both perspectives, in that, like, you know, coming in as a learner and listening is going to really help you be most effective, even in this time right now. I mean, in any time really, but especially this time. Yeah, and flexibility. Just remain flexible and responsive to the needs of each other and the needs of the organizations.
Thank you so much for grounding us in the listening well and giving us each other grace advice. I feel that's so needed. And just in general, I feel like as a learning journey into social impact as a whole, you're going to see problems. If I may share a piece of my takeaway is you will see problems and you'll come to learn there's this feeling of helplessness, and then like this whole process of understanding the system and layers upon layers of issues, and see where you can actually make impact, and gaining back that sense of agency seems like it's a good perspective to have. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, panelists, for sharing your perspectives and allow me to ask you questions. I'll pass it back to Jess for maybe some Q&A.
Sure. So if folks have some questions for our panelists, please feel free to chat them into our chat box. We would love to. We have a few more minutes where we can ask some additional questions of the folks on the panel, if people have them.
Yeah. Or feel free to speak up as well if you feel so inclined.
Very in favor of unmuting.
Mm-hmm. Any questions?
And if folks don't have questions right now, we also will have some opportunity at the end for a little bit more conversation.
Great. Thank you three so much, and for sharing such inspirational thoughts.
Yes. Thank you to our amazing panelists. We so appreciate the time that you guys have given to YCore in general, and the time that you were able to share with us tonight. So I'm hoping that after that conversation, everyone on this call is incredibly excited about YCore and the work that we want to do, and you're just dying to know how you can get involved. So I want to share with you the 2 options that we have for getting involved with YCore. So we have 2 primary roles that you've heard us talk a little bit about over the course of this call. The first is a project lead, which is the role that Jessica took on. So a project lead comes on board and scopes a project with a nonprofit partner. So they build that relationship themselves. They design a project that takes place over about a 2-month period. And then the project lead, once they've designed their project, recruits a set of fellows and executes the project alongside the nonprofit partner. So you can see some of the time commitments there for the project lead role. The fellow role is a great role for somebody who is perhaps wanting to join an existing project, really excited about that. So that is a role that is a little bit shorter of a time period. It's about 4 months as opposed to the kind of 5 to 6 months of a project lead, and takes about 5 hours per week. So whether you, all of these roles are recruiting for both San Francisco and the Peninsula. And we also have a really exciting opportunity in the Peninsula to join as a project lead on a project that's already been planned. So you'll get to be the driving force behind it, but the work to actually put together the scaffolding and the deadlines has been done for you. So without further ado, I want to share the incredible projects that we have planned for this summer with these 4 wonderful nonprofits. We have a great mix of folks that we've worked with in the past and some new faces. And to introduce these projects to you, I would like to get you to meet all of our project leads. So I'm going to play a very short video that has some pitches from our project leads in the Peninsula this summer.
Hi, my name is Vicky. I work in corporate tasks by day, sometimes by night. I love plant shopping since working from home, and this is my newest plant. This summer, I will be partnering with Peninsula Family Service. The community that they serve is struggling more than ever in the face of COVID-19. We are going to help PFS to grow their donor and advocate base by strengthening their overall digital presence. If you are excited to learn or love to help, please join my team. Some relevant experience would be social media strategy, email marketing, and search engine optimization.
Hello, I'm Vincent. I'm a software engineer at Google, and on my free time, I really enjoy snowboarding and going searching for new viewpoints. I've partnered up with 1 Degree, and I'm excited to work with them because I want to help people, which, especially with everything going on, I think is extra impactful, especially when they have an interesting problem, which is volunteer retention. I'm looking to team up with people who are enthusiastic about designing a human-centered program for a scalable solution to help people get the aid that they need. And preferably with a marketing or program development background.
Hi everyone, my name is Marina. I'm a software engineer at Facebook and I work on WhatsApp. And this is my dog Lola. This summer I'll be working with Foundation for College Education, trying to revamp some of their summer and fall after school programs to work remotely due to COVID-19. What I'm looking for in fellows is enthusiasm for education and learning. And if you have any kind of teaching experience, that would be a bonus as well.
Hi everyone, my name's Katie and I'm one of the program managers at YCore. I'm here to tell you about a really awesome project with Fresher.
Oh dear.
Oh, Katie.
I'm so sorry that I think I was trying to move a screen and moved something that shouldn't have been moved. We'll get right back. Can't miss Katie's presentation.
Hi, Katie.
Let me skip ahead.
Looking for 4 fellows to join and participation in to California. And that at YCore. I'm here to tell you about a really awesome project with Fresh Approach, a Bay Area-based nonprofit organization that aims to provide increased access to local and healthy foods by connecting California communities to California farmers. We're going to be working together to increase attendance and participation in the East Palo Alto Farmers Market through partnerships and increased outreach. For this project, we're not only looking for 4 fellows to join, we're also looking for a dedicated project lead to manage the relationship and the project between Fresh Approach and YCore. So if you're excited about access to healthy and local food, you should definitely apply to this project.
Thank you to all of our wonderful project leads for sharing those little videos. And thank you to Liana, one of our alumni who's on our board, who edited that video for us with the music that I can't stop dancing to. So I mentioned earlier, before we move on, I wanted to share one other little snippet of a quote from a YCore alum. And I think that these words, you can read them one way and see them as cheesy. I think all of us at YCore read these words and really believe in them 100%. Just because we are in an earlier stage in our careers, even if we don't have a lot of things figured out on our end, there is so much that we can do and so many relationships that we can build. And I hope that you are all feeling inspired right now to go forth and connect with YCore and with other folks in your community to start making that difference. So I mentioned that we're going to have the opportunity to learn a little bit more and to converse more. Our applications, as you can see here, are due May 17th. You can find them on our website. You can connect with us via email, via social media, but there is an even better way to learn about our applications if you are excited and raring to apply. And that is right now in one of our small group conversation rooms. So typically in our big info sessions, one of the greatest things that we do is have the opportunity at the end to mix and mingle, chat with the project leads, get to know their vision, and understand what they're excited to tackle with their nonprofit partners. Since we don't have the opportunity to mix and mingle over some snacks, we're going to mix and mingle over some Zooms. So we have put together 4 small rooms that we will now share the links for in the chat. So Rima has just shared a PDF that has all the links. She'll also be sharing the individual links in the chat. These rooms will be open for the next half an hour or so. Please feel free to go visit a project lead and learn a little bit more about their vision. This is very casual. You can feel free to pop in and out. You can visit all 4. If you have questions about the fellowship more generally, please feel free to stay in this room and either chat the questions in or ask me directly, and we will continue the conversation. This concludes our formal presentation for the evening, but we really do encourage you to stick around. We would love to talk to you. We'd love for you to talk to our project leads, and we'll be here for a little bit. But thank you all for coming. Thank you to all of our alumni. Thank you to our partners who are here. Thank you to Ming, our wonderful moderator, and all of our panelists.
Thank you.
And we look forward to getting to